Good morning. This is your host Adam, back with another episode of the Shade Tree Mechanic, Texas Edition. I wanted to give you guys a progress report on the John Deere tractor that I've been working on for the last couple of weeks. Give you guys an update as to what's going on with it and show you guys where I'm at and how far I have left to go. The subject of today's video is going to be your deck angle, both your rake as well as your pitch from side to side. For those of you who are not familiar with what rake is, if you are familiar with hot rods and things of that nature, you will often notice that the front of the vehicle is tipped down and the rear of the vehicle is tipped up. That angle of tip from front to back is known as rake. So those of you who are familiar with that, you know that that's important for your mower and how it performs on your lawn. I will show you an example of what I'm talking about here pretty quick, and the reason why you need to pay attention to how your deck is sitting and the adjustments that need to be done in order to fix any problems that you may have with that. So the very first thing that I want to show you is the mower deck, and I'm going to try to illustrate just how important this is with an example. I did use this mower to cut my lawn, and then I went around a couple of times with it doing that, and then I went around with my own riding mower and did a couple other swaths to the inside to see what the difference between the two was, and I'm going to show you guys that here after I get into the deck a little bit. So without further ado, let's turn this video around so you guys can see what I'm talking about. So of course, here's the John Deere I've been working on. I'm going to zoom in here a little bit. Let's see if I can't show you guys. Alright, so the very first thing I'm going to talk to you guys about is deck pitch. And when you're talking about pitch, some other people may call it something else, but when you're talking about pitch or pitch angle, you're talking about the side to side on the deck, okay? And as you can see, looking at the deck from this angle, you can see on the right hand side that the deck is slightly lower than it is on the left hand side, which means that your deck pitch is not even, okay? And that is not bad if you're working with tapered landscapes like golf courses or something like that, or you're working with highly uneven surfaces. You may want to go ahead and pitch your deck like this if you're dealing with rolling hills or something like that, where you need to have that taper in order to not scalp part of your lawn that you're mowing. So this is highly important. I will show you the adjustments that I'm going to have to make, but one of the first things that I want to discuss with you guys is the importance here that you need to also check before you start messing around with deck adjustments. So, as you guys might be able to surmise by the look of this tire, the tire is actually flat. Okay? And I will have to fix this tire in order to make sure that it does not continue to go flat. And it's only this one that seems to be having an issue. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually use slime. And for those of you familiar with slime, great. For those of you who are not, what it is a tire puncture preventative. And it's a very highly effective tire puncture preventative. For those of us who live in Texas, we are familiar with something called a mesquite tree. And they have thorns on them that can get as long as 5 inches. And they will go through most tires. So for those of us who are dealing with these types of trees, or if you have hawthorns or some other tree that has very long thorns on it, at least at part of the stage of life that they have, you may want to go ahead and get some either solid tires. And I do know that the solid rubber tires are highly expensive depending on what you're dealing with. You may want to go ahead and go with that expense because overall it will save you time and money later on. But for those of us who just have a mild problem with things like mesquite trees, or even rose bushes can sometimes cause you a problem depending on the species, you want to go ahead and get some sort of preventative. Now, some people will use Fix-A-Flat. I don't necessarily subscribe to Fix-A-Flat for lawnmower tires. And the reason why is because in every aspect, Fix-A-Flat does work temporarily, but it's really going to end up being a situation where you end up having to apply it multiple times if that's what you choose to do. And if you ever have to change the tire off of the rim, it's going to be a mess. It really, really will. It's not going to be something that's very fun to try to remove. You're talking about chemical baths and things of that nature. And if you ever have to replace the tire but you want to keep the rim, that's a hassle you really don't want to have to deal with. Slime, I've never really had to clean up slime, but as far as I've heard, if you had to do that, it probably would not be as extensive of a process to do that, as it adheres to the tire primarily and not the rim. But Fix-A-Flat will actually coat the entirety of the inside of that tire and rim. But anyways, the very first thing that I wanted to let you guys know on this is that when you're talking about deck and deck adjustment, you do want to make sure before you do anything that your tires are fully inflated to the manufacturer's recommended specification PSI. So you can find that on the side of the tire for those of you who aren't aware of that. But anyways, getting back to what I'm doing here today, I also want to show you guys, as I had mentioned before, the rake on this mower. Get down here so you guys can see. Now, the rake on this thing, you wouldn't think that this would be too bad. It's approximately an inch on the front side of the deck off the ground. But the real problem with this is your deck will hit anything and everything, including trees that you have stumped but you haven't fully fleshed out to the ground, and it will put you in a position where when you're going to mow, it will literally stop you in your tracks. And if it does, it can damage your mower by a lot. A lot of things can go wrong if you hit something like that, or even if you just hit a root, which some roots are tall and they creep along the ground, but they are not entirely subsurface or underneath, and so you have to deal with that. And if you have to deal with that, you might as well raise your deck in the front here to try to make sure that you ride over these things just a little bit better. The other thing is this deck is currently fully up. That's another thing you want to do for these adjustments. You want to make sure that the deck is fully up to do that. You do, however, want to put the deck fully down so that you can check and see where and how these scalping wheels are riding, if they are effective or not, or if you're going to have to get another scalping wheel or make an adjustment. Some scalping wheels have an adjuster you can adjust the elevation on. I don't think this one actually does. Nope, it is just a single hole. There is no, oh wait a minute, yes there is. There's another adjustment. So there's two other holes there. So you can adjust where the scalping wheel rides on this just by taking this loose, pulling it off, and sticking it in one of the other holes. And you can adjust your deck this way as well. But I do recommend the very first thing is making your adjustments for the rake and the pitch. And how you do that is relatively simple. You see this linkage bar here that goes from the front of the deck to the front of the mower. There's a mounting plate here. And on the other side of this mounting plate is an adjuster screw and nut. So what you would have to do is take the tension off the front of the deck by lifting it up. That gives you the ability to adjust this. It makes it easier for you to adjust. So if you do that, or if you find yourself having to do that, you want to take the tension off the front of the deck by putting something underneath it, like a 2x4 or a brick or something, and that'll lift the deck so to get the tension off of that mounting bracket right there. And that's how you do that. And not all of these are going to be the same size nut, so you can either use a wrench, find your wrench that's the appropriate size, or you can use some channel locks or something like that to make the adjustment. But I recommend having a spare 2x4 around so that you can put it underneath decks. If you have to do deck adjustments, you'll have the stuff that you need. And you can also use, if you can't get a 2x4 under there very easily, this handy dandy crowbar. And take one of these crowbars, stick it underneath there, and lift up on it so that you can stuff one of those 2x4s, which you can see I've got mine right here, underneath it, so that it makes it easier for that adjustment. The other adjustments for the pitch angle are going to be right here. So you see this vertical rod? This is the next pitch angle adjustment. And this one is a lot lower than the one on the discharge side. Go over to the discharge side and show you the difference. I'll guarantee you, with the way that looks, yeah, you can see. You look right there, there are several more threads on the other one, as this one is pitched up this way than this one. So again, you want to take the pressure off the back of the deck to make this adjustment. It's not that hard, and you can see the thing is threaded for quite a ways, so you got quite the adjustment ability there. Now you do want to have some rake on your riding mower. It's not necessarily a good idea. It's not necessarily a good idea to go with a fully level deck. And the reason why that is because it will actually make your motor on your mower work harder. You do have the side discharge, but if you're getting into areas where you've got very tall or very thick or specific types of grasses like prairie grass or something like that, it'll make your engine on your mower work harder, and that causes wear and tear. So in order to prevent that being a problem and bogging down your motor and causing issues with your PTO, your pulleys, your spindles, your belt, all those things can be affected by the pitch and the rake on your mower deck. In order to prevent those problems, you want to make sure that you do have some rake on your deck. Generally speaking, you can gauge based on your yard how much rake you want to have, but you want to have some because it makes it easier for the blades to throw the grass to the back of the deck and then eventually out through the discharge side, to where it's not going to be that big of a deal for you. It's not going to make the engine work hard. It'll actually ease the load on the engine, and that preserves your engine life. So you want to have some rake, but you don't want to have it be so pronounced. You don't want to have enough rake to where you look like you're a helicopter trying to take off. You don't want to be looking like a dragster going down the road. You don't need aerodynamics when you're dealing with a riding mower. So I'm going to go out here and show you guys what I'm talking about. Like I said, this video is several days older than I had planned on it due to weather and life getting generally in the way. But I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about here. You should be able to see with the video what I'm talking about. There should be quite the difference here. Yep, there is. Okay, so let's flip this back around. So this is what I'm talking about. Maybe it'd be better in the shade to see this. But I went around the perimeter of this portion of my yard with 2 passes on the John Deere. And you can see just by looking at the strokes, the very first 2 passes, that lawn with the John Deere is a lot shorter than it really should be. Okay, I had the mower set at the mower deck set at a height level of 3, which is about standard. The standard that you want here in Texas is about a 3 on any deck that you use, even a push mower deck. And the reason for that is you do not want to scorch your lawn. If you scalp the lawn, the hot sun during the day will burn your lawn and it'll kill it. And so you want to make sure that you have enough blade left on your lawn in order not to kill your grass. So a 3 gives you about a 3-inch cut with 3 inches left on your lawn. That's what that's meant for, okay? And that's about perfect. And you can see the variation in coloration here between the first 2 passes and this middle section here where I passed with my personal mower that I use every single day. Now, I do know that I need some adjustments and everything on my mower, and I see some grass did not get cut evenly. For you eagle-eye spotters out there, you're probably going to try to call me out on that. And of course, I am aware of that. That is another part of the issue when you're talking about deck adjustment is, you need to make sure that your blades are in sync, number 1. Number 2, your deck is at the appropriate height, pitch, and rake. Okay? So you want to make sure that those are all properly done. You also want to make sure that you have sharp blades. Now, I do know that I need to sharpen my blades. It's been a while. But the blades on the John Deere, despite the fact that they actually need to be sharpened, they did a fairly decent job, but the rake is definitely an issue because you can see just how much it scalped the lawn based on the variation of the color here on the grass. So that's why this is highly important. You don't want to kill your lawn or your customer's lawn if you're doing this as a landscaping and mowing business. You want to make sure that you have enough grass blade left to where the lawn stays healthy. So that's the reason why this is important. I will show you guys the end results after I get all the pitch and everything taken care of. I do need to sharpen the blades on the John Deere, and I will. So that'll be another thing that I do. But that's really all I have left on this mower in order to get it ready for sale. And that's not that much. There really wasn't all that much to do on this thing in the first place. This mower is in pretty good shape. It already had its oil changed. And there's really nothing left to do. The only other thing that I really did to this thing after deciding to get it was clean those terminals on the battery like I'd mentioned in the previous video, and make sure that this thing will start appropriately every single time. And that's what you want in a mower. You want to be able to just hop on it and go. But I will fix the flat, slime both tires, and make sure that it doesn't happen again. You do want to check the tread on your tires and you want to check the sidewalls, make sure that they're not cracked and that they will hold air even if you do slime them. If you have cracked walls, it won't hold air. So it does help a little bit, but it's not going to be a fix for a situation like that. So if your tires are dry rotting, you're just going to end up having to replace those. There are plenty of people though that sell online that will have tires at decent prices for you. I do know that the price on these tires is between $30 and $50 for the pneumatic tires. Then you have the pre-slime tires. Those will range for anywhere from $35 to $65 depending on the mower brand and size tire you have, or the size tire you want. And then on top of that, you have the solid rubber tires, which in my market over here, those are going for about $100 a piece. And the ones that I have on my personal mower, which is not currently here for me to show you, but the ones that I have on my personal mower are actually solid rubber tires. I got those because I just didn't want to have to deal with punctured pneumatic tires every single time I turned around and mowed my yard because of the mesquites. So that is the subject for this video. I hope you guys found this information informative, useful. Hopefully you learned something you didn't know before. If you like this video or think that this would help you or someone else, please feel free to like and share this video. Helps me, helps you, and of course if there's something that you think that I should have covered a little bit more in this video, please also feel free to comment. I will try to respond to those. If I get any comments, reach out and I'll be happy to help you out with what I know. Alright, this is the Shade Tree Mechanic. I am Adam. Thank you for watching. Have a nice day.